Hi everyone, Michelle Ferreri here, Member of Parliament for Peterborough-Kawartha, and excited to bring you another episode of People Before Politics. Now, the idea behind this show was to really introduce you to the people I get to work with every day, but also to remind Canadians of the people who serve every day as elected officials. Sometimes we forget about the human aspect of these people who and their life before politics, of what shaped them to be who they are today. And in particular, obviously being a Conservative, what sort of backgrounds my colleagues have, because everyone has a story, that sort of shaped their Conservative values and ideology. So I really like this segment. I've really enjoyed it. If you've missed any of them, they are on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, People Before Politics, Michelle Ferreri. You can search them, share them away. I think it's really great for us to get to know the people before politics. So very excited today to introduce you to Rosemarie Falk, Member of Parliament for Battlefords, Lloydminster.
Yeah, that's correct.
In Saskatchewan.
Yes.
And it's like minus 72 right
it's very,
now there.
very, very cold there, yes. Yeah.
It's freezing
Yesterday
there.
was minus 47 this
I was
morning.
actually kidding when I said that coldness.
It's that cold.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Today is supposed to be warmer, but.
Today it's only minus 41.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's great. Actually, we also have a guest in the studio today, and we hopefully will do a little interview that we will share later. But one of Rosemarie's children, you have 4 children,
yes.
and your oldest daughter, Annabelle, is sort of watching from the sidelines. So if you hear any little chatter, it could be Annabelle, maybe cheering or clapping. Maybe, yeah, she's clapping. No, she's just taking it all in. There she goes. There she goes. It's like a very quiet clap. So, Rosemarie, you got elected. Actually, you're coming up December 11th. You were elected.
Yes.
In 2017.
Yes. Wow, you're good.
Was it a by-election?
It was, yes.
So that's coming up on a good stint. So you've been here a while.
That's fair, yeah.
You have, well, compared to me, right? I've only been here for a year. But you have 4 children. Your youngest was just born in April.
Yep. And my third was born summer 2019, before the 2019 election. So she was 3 months when we were door knocking.
Is
that right? 3 months, yeah.
So you have a support system around you to be able to do that.
Yeah, you know, the term "it takes a village" is a real legit term, right? And it doesn't matter what that village looks like. It could be parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, church, neighbors. Like, it's a village.
Did you always want a big family like that? Or did you always know you wanted?
Well, okay, so my heart's desire was always to have 4. My first one was really hard, just with and looking back now, what I know now, because it's so much easier.
Don't you
once
wish you could
right,
get in a DeLorean
right.
and tell your first mom self
Right.
things?
It's true.
Like, just chill.
It's
just
true.
don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
So I think there was a lot of that made it hard. Like, I think she was colicky and just tough sleeper. Like, there was a lot. And then then William came along, and he was a way better sleeper. But then Victoria came along, and she was like, you didn't need to rock her. You didn't need to feed her before bed. You just laid her down and she'd go to sleep. Like, I was like, wow, these are the unicorns that people talk about. Right?
And then came little baby Eloise.
Yeah, she's doing pretty good. She's about the same. She just goes with the flow. But I think that also comes with being in a bigger family.
I've
right?
always said this. My one girlfriend has 1 child, and she used to say to me, I don't know how you do it with 3. And I said, it gets easier because they take care of each other. And I always said 1 child actually sometimes is harder because you become their dependent or playmate or any of those things. And so I think when you have more kids, it's harder up front, but then I think it's actually easier in the long run.
For sure.
So you did social work before this, before politics.
I have an interesting kind of before. When I graduated from high school, my father very much wanted me to take power engineering. I get it. I get why.
Why did you take what kind of engineering?
Power engineering.
Power engineering.
Yeah, so it's basically generating power, whether that's through boilers, turbines, generating heat, steam, that type of thing. So yeah, okay, I did it. Didn't like it. I didn't like it. But I met my husband. That's how I met my husband, because he's a power engineer. And then, I ended up, believe it or not, I did aesthetics.
I do believe that.
You do
You're
believe that?
always
Oh.
well put together. You've always
thank
got
you.
beautiful nails.
Thank
You always look lovely.
And I actually worked for a short while in Lake Louise at like a
beautiful.
resort. Yeah, doing that there, which was really great. So I had this weird experience. At the time, it would have been '08 when we had the financial crash, that type of thing, and my work was impacted. And so it's interesting looking back in hindsight, and it's like, oh wow, politics touches you everywhere, right? In any profession, it doesn't matter. So then I ended up coming, I went back home, and I ended up getting a temp job, believe it or not, at a law firm. And I was doing mostly family law, assisting in that manner, and I had seen everything. Just being the assistant to lawyers doing this very hard work. And then I got the idea of, well, can I somehow help people before they get to this point?
Yes.
Right? And so the community that I live in, they actually had a social work program. So I was working part-time, ended up having Annabelle, actually second year university. So I was working part-time, then I would work full-time because I was doing full-time classes. So I'd pick up in the summer and do all this crazy stuff. And the great program that I was in through the University of Calgary was for rural, remote, and Indigenous communities. So if you were in one of these communities, you could do an online program for the rest of your degree for the 2 years. So because I'm in a rural setting, and I was accepted, I went through the process, I was able to do online learning before online learning was a thing.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of cool. And then I ended up having most of my experience in a hospital setting, so medical social work. I witnessed a lot of things there with bureaucracy, red tape, a lot of maybe burnout, maybe that's the nice word, of just kind of everybody in the social work system.
Vicarious trauma.
Sure. And then I ended up getting involved in, not even involved, I'm not even going to say involved, I'm just going to say interested in politics because of what was being debated at the time. So I've only really been paying attention since 2015. And so it was interesting actually with all this MAID stuff because it was physician assistants, medical assistants. No,
in dying. Yeah,
before physician assisted suicide.
Oh, that
is what it was before.
Okay, yes.
They switched it to MAID. The terminology.
Yes.
And being in a medical setting and seeing and witnessing and being a part of group therapy, family therapy, like we did everything. I had seen how, physician-assisted suicide, in my opinion, from my experience, robs families from the opportunity of reconciliation at end of life. End of life is a really hard time. It's really hard. I went through it. I lost my mom in 2020. She was in palliative care, and it's really hard. And I don't want to dismiss that. It's emotionally hard. It's physically hard. It's very taxing on family. But I have been a part, and I have seen siblings that haven't spoken to each other for years, and they get the call that it's their parents, one of their parents' last days, and they come together, and having a therapist being able to just facilitate a conversation and have people leave talking to each other again. So I had experienced this side, and then at the time that was one of the election issues in 2015. And then I kind of got involved. And then I had no idea that you could have a party membership, that you could get on a board, because for 27 years of my life, nobody had ever offered me a membership. So I had no idea that we had the ability as just regular everyday people, which is what we are,
Yep.
Be on a board, be able to influence convention, have, for policy ideas. Like, I had no idea.
That's a great segue to tell people at home right now, because I think actually politics has become immersed to people. Like, I hear this every day, as I'm sure you do. People who've never paid attention to politics before in their life are paying attention because their lives are being so impacted. Today when we're recording this, the interest rates went up yet
Oh, I
again,
know.
right? And so I feel like people are, and so I always say to people, wherever you sit politically on the spectrum, get involved.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, and I think that's a really great point that you brought up, you didn't know, there's an EDA locally in your wherever you live, right? Whether it's liberal, conservative, join conservative, that's what we'll tell you to do. But for real, like, and you can become involved, you can get a membership and be a part of what you want. But why did you choose conservative then? If you sort of hadn't been...
this is me. Like I and I'm not going to say this to be controversial. But I mean, by default, this is the only party I can be in because I'm pro-life. I'm not allowed to be in the Liberal Party. I'm not allowed to be in the New Democratic Party because I am pro-life. So this is really the only party that I can be me.
And so what I find interesting for people, and we didn't talk about this, I didn't know this would go in this direction.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I think it actually shows that, I'm pro-choice, right? So I think it's an interesting dynamic that people don't see. And I had this conversation with somebody this past week, and they said, Michelle, what is the difference between a liberal and a conservative? And I said, for me, what I see, and being here for as long as I have been, if you don't agree with a liberal, and if you don't think like them, you're wrong. Conservative ideology is to say, you be you, we will include everyone, we will try to create the best policy that includes all Canadians and listens to everyone, right? And there's tough topics, very personal, deeply personal topics, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's really interesting. And so I think it's still
Well, it's an interesting spot for me to be in as a young woman. It was actually funny. So when I won the nomination, there was, on all these social media platforms, commentary of, why is she a conservative? She's a social worker, she has children, she's a woman, she's a millennial, like she shouldn't be a conservative. And I mean, conservatism, faith, family, freedom, that is the pillars. You know what? People practice their faith in how they practice their faith. There's no judgment for that, but there's the freedom to do that. Family, having the government and institution out of the way so that you can raise your family how you need to and how you want to. I mean, how you raise your family is very much different, I'm going to assume, than how I raise my family. But
and so it should be.
Right? But I mean, when we look at the Liberals, I mean, when we look at daycare, for example, that doesn't work for my family. I have a husband who does shift work. So even if I wasn't elected working long hours all the time, that's not something that I'd be able to utilize. Just even the shift work, working weekends, because that's not, that doesn't fit the institutionalized 9 to 5, Monday to Friday daycare. Right? That this government wants to push on people. So I mean, being conservative, faith, family, freedom, and being able to do that in a free way.
So how have you found the balance between being mom, being a family woman that you are, and this place? Like, a lot of people don't know, right? We're here 5 days a week, usually. And then you have travel time. Like tell them how long it takes you to get home sometimes.
Yeah, so travel, I mean, with no delays, not a direct flight, we're looking at 11 hours one way. And so, I mean, once I land, I then have a 2.5-hour drive to get home. And that's just part of being a rural Canadian. That's just how it is. But I would take living in rural Saskatchewan over a city any day. That's, again, just the way that I'm wired. It's just the way that I'm wired. Community's different. Everybody knows everybody. It's just different. So I think the balance doesn't look the same as it would for other families. So there are just some days that I'm not able to FaceTime. I miss Christmas. I haven't been to a single Christmas concert. But in the same breath, my kids also kind of don't know any different, if that makes sense. I mean, I go home every weekend, so I sacrifice my own sleep to be able to do that. There's opportunities too that my family has that maybe other people wouldn't, in the sense of I have the opportunity to be invited and go to all of these small communities in my riding, and sometimes we make it a family event where the kids will come. We have a small community called Macklin, Saskatchewan, and they host the World Championship Bunnock tournament. Do you know what Bunnock is?
I have no idea what Bunnock is.
It's this game where it's from back in the day, and it's actually originated with ankle bones from horses, and you throw to get the other bones down. So some people will call it bones instead of Bunnock. And like Annabelle has been able to come with me and throw the first bone as well. So there's these great experiences and opportunities that we have, even though I might be missing a Christmas concert. They get to participate in some of these niche things, right?
I think the silver lining of this job, or this balance, I kind of laugh at the word balance. I don't really think there is one, quite frankly, but I think you value your family time more than ever. Like family time to me now is even more special.
Sure.
It's like you really value each other.
Yep.
And I think that's a silver lining in it, honestly. And I also think it encourages independence in our children too. Like last night my son phoned me late at night, "Mom, I'm going to wash my bedding." And I'm like, okay, that's great. Like but if I had been there, guess who would have been washing the bedding? Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I mean, these skills, that the unintended positive consequences.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you this before we wrap up, and then a couple fun questions. Social work is a really, really big piece, in my opinion, of what we do, because we're trying to serve Canadians and find that balance between, compassion and fiscal responsibility, and not making people dependent on the government, but supporting those that have to be dependent on the government. You and I are looking at a bill right now in HUMA. Rosemarie and I sit on HUMA, which is Human Resources. And in your experience of social work, what's the most compassionate thing we can do? Because you're clearly a compassionate person who wants to help people, and there's a lot of suffering, like homelessness, addiction, poverty. We have a lot happening in this country.
We need a whole other segment for this.
I know. But it's what you care about. I guess what I'm trying to get out of this, Rosemarie, is that you have the background, the knowledge, and you still think the Conservative Party is the right choice to help the most amount of Canadians.
Absolutely. I think in any situation, we have to come at a conversation with empathy and understanding that I don't know what it's like to be you and be through the experiences that you have gone through. You may have a different upbringing than I have had. So, I mean, those experiences shape the person that they are today. And so I think being so quick to listen and slow to respond is sometimes wise. But I think that we also have to be able to be in an environment where we have difficult conversations.
Yes. We don't know how to do that anymore because of social media, right?
Like it's society as a whole, culture
nobody,
as a whole,
nobody
for sure.
listens, right? So even we really don't have those anymore.
And like I use therapy as an example all the time. Therapy is hard work. It's hard work. And you need that iron sharpens iron. So, you might come and tell me something, but it's almost my job, in a sense, to challenge that, not in an angry way or a judgy way, but just challenge the thinking. Okay, well, why, right? So I think it's important that we have space in society, but also in politics, to have difficult conversations, but have empathy as well. Because when we look at some of these controversial issues, I mean, again, my experiences might be different than your experiences. And we both have to have that level playing field when we come to the table to have the conversation. But I think just to say certain things, debate's over, we're not talking about that, I'm not going to say anything because that's going to offend somebody. I think that's a scary road to go down, because we're not going to be able to actually have intelligent, thoughtful conversations that are respectful, that will actually move the needle on issues. So I think it's important to have those conversations in a respectful way. And be just quick to listen, right? And that goes on both sides.
It's very good. It's really well
right
said.
And left, right? Like the political spectrum.
Totally.
I mean, there's a lot of things, and that's one of my frustrations actually in the chamber, is how I can make a statement and it get twisted by the other side. And it's like, that's not what I said at all. And you're spinning something at the expense of my reputation, which is just, it's not okay. And I don't think Canadians like that kind of politics.
Oh, they don't.
Right?
They don't. They want more accountability, more transparency.
Yeah.
And trust. Okay, so let's do some fun things. Okay, what do you do for fun? This is a great thing. So I have this sheet and I've asked other people. This is a hilarious question that comes in. It's like, what books are you reading? And everybody's like, oh, I can't read a book. I'm too busy
Yeah.
reading policy.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have fun.
Rosemarie, you need to have fun.
I don't know if I have fun. I don't know.
I saw some pictures of you at Disney riding rides with your
Sure,
kids. You look
sure.
pretty
Okay,
fun
okay,
there.
that's fun. So I guess like family time for sure is like a fun thing.
And you constantly are showing me baby pictures of your kids.
Sure,
I don't know.
sure,
I
sure.
think you're way more fun than you think.
Sure, but I'm not like fun adventurous like some people. Like Adam, my husband, will be like, oh, let's go fishing. And I'm like, how about you just take the kids? You go deal with that. And
Do
I'll
you
be at
consider
home.
yourself a domesticated, like you love, like you, I remember you showing me Christmas tree decorations.
Sure.
Like you like that kind of stuff?
If I had
Cooking,
time for
cleaning
it,
and
sure.
stuff?
If I had time, it's actually funny you say that because I have this conversation with Adam periodically of, well, if I wasn't here, I'd be baking cookies, or I'd be using like my piping set for cakes, or you know, all these things that I would have time for that I just don't have time for. Like I don't even bake birthday cakes because I just don't have joy in it like I did previously before all of this.
You got too many things on your mind.
Does that make sense?
That makes
Yeah.
1,000% sense. I met a girlfriend, she ran a very large company, and she said to me, I don't make cakes, I make money to buy the cakes. And I was like,
Yeah.
I actually feel that on a big level. And it's not that you don't love it, it's just, it's just
I'd rather
challenge.
spend my time with my family.
Yes.
As opposed to perfecting a cake for a birthday that will just be eaten.
But I totally admire anyone who can make a cake. So let's just put that on the record
Absolutely.
as well.
Or cook a great meal.
Do you have a question idea? Were you putting your hand up, Annabelle, for your mom? No, okay. So what favorite food?
Oh, favorite food. I really, can I give like a type of food? As
No,
opposed
not
to
at
like,
all.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
of course you
Okay.
can.
So we are pretty involved with the Filipino community in our community, and everything they make is delicious.
Okay.
Is
I'm ready
delicious.
for lunch, so this is actually making me starving.
good.
And one
So
thing
good.
you'd like the people to know about you that you think they don't know?
I think that I am a compassionate, empathetic person. And I'm not in politics sacrificing everything my husband and I are sacrificing for self-interest. I truly care about the next generation, and I truly care about Canadians, that we are able to, have the life and the opportunity that a lot of our grandparents and great-grandparents actually died for, so that we could have that.
If
Yeah.
you were to retire tomorrow, what would be your legacy? What would you want to be your legacy? What's the one thing you would love to accomplish in politics?
Oh, that's a hard one. Because I've seen so many like little wins.
You have to celebrate the little wins.
Yeah. So when I was very first elected, there was a government piece of legislation, and I was just put on HUMA, and it was like a big deal. I put 4 amendments in, and the government took 2 of my amendments.
That's a huge win.
Like I'm just like this little new person that doesn't even know where the washrooms are, and I was able to. So that for me, that was a win.
Yeah.
Right. But I think being able to represent my constituents, voice their concerns on the floor of the House of Commons, but also in caucus, is imperative for me. And I know that sometimes the opinions of the people that I represent, or even my own opinions, aren't popular, and maybe aren't necessarily liked in the Ottawa bubble. But it is imperative that. That I say them on their behalf, because it's an immense honor to be elected. I mean, there's only 338 people that have the opportunity in this parliament that we do to be on the floor of the House of Commons and say those things on their behalf.
It's well said, and I think it's a great way to wrap it up, because I think the diversity of Canada is a very challenging thing to represent when you have masses of people in one location. So there's a lot of similar thinking there, but that's not the reality when we look across this country. And so when we make policy and we have to think about all Canadians and how it impacts everyone, and I think COVID really showed that. Right? COVID really showed how we live life so differently. And rural Canada is so different than urban Canada. but there's room for all of us.
Yeah.
There's room for all of us. This has been great. Rosemarie Falk, not Rosemary. Not Rosemary, Rosemarie Falk. I'm really looking forward to, I got Annabelle over in the wings here. Do you think you want to do a little interview with me that we could share on Facebook of what it's like to be a child of a politician? Yeah, she's good for it. So we're going to record that and we'll upload it later. Thank you so much for joining me. People Before Politics, share it, tell your friends, write questions in for any questions you'd like to ask any of the MPs that I'm going to be interviewing. And this was great. Thanks, Rosemarie.
Thanks for having me.